Right. There is Emily. How are you,
Hi,
lady?
I'm doing good.
Yeah. Are you in LEX?
Yes, I am. Hmm.
Right. Good. Well, it's good to see you. Haven, how are you, young lady?
Pretty good. How are you?
Good, good, good. Good to see you.
Good to see y'all.
Yeah. Brooklyn, are you on board?
Yes. How are you?
I'm good. I was hoping I could see your smiling face.
I'm actually traveling for work right now, so I'm listening to the call.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, very good. Well, I am, are you like you're in the car?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, I love the commitment. Hopefully you're going somewhere cool. All right. We'll wait a couple more minutes and then we will go ahead and get started. Hard to believe it's summer. Crazy. Um, so while we're waiting, um, I was meeting with hopefully a new business partner. I'm not 100% sure, but I got a um, Kindle Scribe. So now I can take, instead of having a million pieces of paper, I can do everything on that, and then everything's digitized. So probably doesn't sound like a big deal to you guys, but to me, it's kind of cool. So I'm having fun with, I had to have a new toy. So there's Cade. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Hey, good to see you. All right, let me just check. I got an email. Okay, so Jonathan Ensign may be showing up. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. I am recording these. Initially, I wanted to have um, these to be simply at 8 o'clock, like 8 to 9, but as certainly Brooklyn is demonstrating, you guys are super busy trying to, live your life. And so what I think, obviously what I decided is I'm just going to keep this Zoom open from 6 to 8. And I'm going to record all of these. It will be horrible TV for anyone that wants to watch this. I think with YouTube, you can, um, and I'll convert this to a YouTube link that you can go at 2x the speed or whatever. If you're like, hey, I had to sign off, but I want to see what else was discussed, then then you guys can look at that. Does that make sense? All right. Garrett, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Hey, good. Good to see you. Good to
Yeah, good
see
to
you.
see you too.
Yeah. So I was just saying that this is just sort of an open channel. I'm going to keep this open from 6 to 8. I know people have different schedules, busy lives, busy schedules. So, sort of like an open house, people are free to sort of dip in and dip out as you like. I'm recording all of these. I'll post all of the YouTube recordings in Discovery week by week. So, if somebody says, "Oh shoot, I couldn't join," um, then we can obviously you guys can look at the recording and see if you missed anything. So, all right. Well, why don't I go ahead and start us off with a prayer, and then we'll get started. Father in heaven, I just thank you so much for these young men and women who love you, who are desiring to build their skills, build their competency so that they can continue to shine in the world that you've created for us, and they can bring glory to you in everything they do and say. Lord, I just ask that you would um, be over this time together, and we ask all these things in Christ's name. Amen. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Hopefully you guys can see this. All right. You guys A-okay? I'm going to assume silence is a yes. So, all right. So what I thought I would do is just sort of quickly go through discovery, go through the syllabus, and then if you have any questions, obviously I'll do my best to try to answer those tonight. Again, if you feel like after we go through the syllabus and discovery that you are like, hey, I'm good. I think I got what I need, then obviously feel free to drop off, and that is totally fine. So, by the way, if you have any questions, feel free to interrupt, and I'm happy to pause and answer any questions as best I can. So, all right, does that sound good? So, what is strategic analytics? So, a couple of things to think about. One, if you have ever had me in analytics, business analytics one or analytics two, those were sort of, the basic understanding of Excel, statistics, probability, sampling, um, some of the more common functions in Excel. There are obviously many, many different, um, pre-loaded formulas. And then we spend quite a bit of time focusing on pivot tables and VLOOKUP. Those are wonderful tools for anyone to be able to take multiple databases, and as long as there is a unique key between different databases, then VLOOKUP is allows us to be able to connect those. Um, I would say just sort of as a something to just kind of be aware of. So Excel is not really a database tool. There are several out there. Of course, SQL is one, Microsoft Access. Um, and so just kind of for future reference, if you in your current job or in your future job, you say, well, let's see, I'm really going to need a database or sort of a database that is able to handle multiple objects, many different databases, and to be able to query those. Then Excel's sort of a good poor man's version, but it's not what I would consider um, kind of a full-blown database. And so just kind of want to put that out there. All right. My contact info. Hopefully you guys can, um, you know, uh, reach out to me whenever you like. Email is sort of preferred only because that's sort of where I spend most of my time. However, feel free to text me. Hopefully you guys can see my phone. Feel free to text me if you have any questions. I would tell you that about 10 o'clock at night, I sort of check out. And so, um, feel free to text me, but I more than likely am not going to respond till the next morning. So just kind of letting you know that. Virtual office hours, that's really Tuesdays from 6 to 8. Again, I'll be recording this so you guys can access these recordings whenever you like. Some textbook information. Some of you that have had me for analytics, you may have this book already, Business Analytics by Evans. I would say that I have all of the slides for this book. And so the ones that are pertinent to this course, I uploaded them into Discovery. So if you don't want to buy the book, that's okay. But you know, I always bought my books, but I'm an old dude, so maybe not everybody does that anymore. So you can buy it off Amazon. I don't get any money from any of these textbooks, so I really don't care where you buy those if you want to buy them. Another textbook is Best Market-Based Management. It's interesting that I that for whatever reason the publisher made that entire textbook available free as a PDF. I don't know why, but it is here in Discovery. And so if you want to access that, obviously you can do so. If you want to buy it, I think it's a great book, but I understand you guys are pinching pennies, and so if you don't want to go buy that, I totally understand that. There are additional readings that we're going to be doing here in three different books, and then a couple of articles. If you had me for Principles of Marketing, 241. These two articles here, Marketing Myopia and Exploit the Product Life Cycle by Levitt, will be a bit of review. But if you did not have me for Principles of Marketing, they are what I would call seminal articles, or not just what I would call. I mean, the discipline calls those seminal articles. So those are really good articles for you to sort of have a mental model of what Levitt was communicating there. Also, I have uploaded some sections of three different books. They are not the entire books because we've got trademark, or excuse me, copyright laws, so we obviously can't make those totally available. I would encourage you, these are great reference books if you wanted to buy them, if not necessarily for this class, but in the future. The first one is Positioning by Reese and Trout. Great book. I think you guys are going to get a lot out of that. The second one is Managing Customer Value by Bradley Gale. That was published in the late 80s, but Best really predicates a lot of his textbook analytics on sort of the concepts that Gale developed. And then the third book section is Competitive Strategy by Michael Porter. Porter sort of revolutionized corporate strategy in the 80s. And while I know that was a long time ago, he is sort of the paragon of corporate strategy. And he was a professor at Harvard. I think he's retired, but had a tremendous impact on corporate strategy and management. So resources, obviously Microsoft Excel. I know many of you use sort of the Office 365 suite as part of Asbury, as a student. I think that's great. If it's possible, also, I think it's great for you to have Microsoft Excel on your laptop or Mac, only because I think what I've found is sometimes there's not 100% compatibility between Microsoft or 365 and then on your particular device. But I will kind of leave that up to you guys. Um, Interesting. This is an asynchronous course. And I think obviously that's the beauty of Asbury's MBA program, that it is asynchronous. However, I'm making these uh, virtual office hours optional. So what I've found, and it's very interesting, is that when I make them required, then sometimes students get a little upset because they have conflicts, and I totally understand that. But if I don't offer them, then sometimes I'll get, panicked emails at 11:30 at night or panicked texts. And so I'm trying to sort of strike a middle ground where I'm taking attendance on these. If you attend, then you get credit for attending, but you don't have to. But it certainly, I think, in the long run, is great for both you all and for me to be able to have this time where we can sort of answer, hopefully, for many, if not most students, common questions that show up. Microsoft Excel skills. So we're going to be doing some what are called measures of location, mean, median, mode, standard deviation, um, VLOOKUP, and pivot tables, which is sort of what we referenced before. Um, Sorry, I've got a student that said, "Is it okay to join?" Um, This is what we call live TV right here. So I'm going to give him our Zoom link and he can join. That would be great. Sorry. One moment, please. So we talked about Microsoft Excel, measures of location, VLOOKUP. Again, that's tying two data sets together with a unique key. Pivot tables, descriptive statistics, which is a little bit of an expansion of measures of location. Correlation, that's where two variables will um, tend to move together. And then regression analysis, that is where we're looking at multiple independent variables and how statistically they seem to influence a dependent variable. So for quantitative skills, faith and work, business case, cohort assignments. So when I teach principles of marketing, I talk about the 4 Ps of marketing: price, product price, promotion, and placement. And then I add a fifth P. I've not gotten that trademarked. But the fifth P I add is purpose. And so the idea is that we, as followers of Jesus Christ, seeking to expand his kingdom in the world, I would ask you, as part of this course, to, as a two, for the most part, I think there's one 3-person cohort, but for the others, that you would make sure that you integrate your faith in dealing with the business cases that you're presented with. Okay. Um, there will be 3 what I call topical papers. There will be 4 to 6 pages using APA format. I'm not really what I would call an APA Nazi, but if you all decide, wow, I want to go get a big PhD, then it would be great for you to learn APA. Um, I think for some of your other MBA courses, that is probably preferred, if not required as well. It's not as onerous as you might think there, but there are some uh, rules around using APA, and so you'll just want to be familiar with those. So, all right. For whatever reason, Discovery is not showing in a clear way the syllabus, so it's probably a memory constraint, I'm guessing. So here we go. All right. Hopefully you guys can see this. So I want to walk through the syllabus. Some of this will be a bit repetitive in terms of what we were just looking at before. This is my what I would call teaching philosophy. It looks like, it's probably something I popped out in about 2 minutes, but it actually took me about an hour to try to figure out how do I most concisely try to articulate my teaching philosophy. And so what I came up with a few years ago is igniting change in students' lives to become who God created them to be. So that is my mission. I really count it an honor and a blessing to be able to work with each of you. And I'm really honored and blessed to be able to serve in a place where I can serve you all in the name of Christ. So, all right, cohort assignments. Um, one of the best practices I learned recently was that uh, I have historically had 4 or 5 people in a cohort. But what I've learned is that for many of you, because your lives are so busy, it's very difficult to try to get 4 or 5 people together at a particular point in time to work on your cohort assignment. And so, that being said, trying to keep it where it's just mostly 2 people, hopefully that makes it a little bit easier for you all to connect. Um, you can see hopefully who your cohort buddy is. What I would say as well, um, I think using cohorts to be able to have students learn for me was critical because you guys are very busy. Grad school, as many of you know, it's not undergraduate classes. It's um, the requirements, the expectations are much higher. And I would just encourage you as you're in your cohort to lean on each other. You can sort of cry on each other's shoulders, pray for each other, because this stuff is tough. And, with an 8 week time frame, we're moving pretty fast and there's a lot of reading, a lot to try to digest. And so I really believe that leaning on your cohort member is super important. So, all right, course description. Um, I won't read all of this to you, but what I would say is that as an MBA student, and particularly for this course, strategic analytics, the purpose is that we learn how to use data to make better decisions. The metaphor that I often use is when we go to the doctor. I know it's not always a wonderfully pleasant experience, but if you've had tests run, maybe blood tests or a CT scan or whatever it might be, the reason why those tests are run is so that we can have some diagnostic um, elements that help us understand, is the patient healthy or not? And if they're not, what are the issues and what is sort of the prescribed treatment? And so similarly, we can sort of use our intuition. Um, and all of you are very bright young men and women, so I'm certain that you have good intuition, but it's always, I've found helpful to have data to help support our conclusions. And so the purpose of this course is to help us understand how we can analyze data and use that data to help us allocate resources in the best way possible. Strategy, when we sort of boil it down, strategy is about resource allocation. So, what do I mean by that? In microeconomics, we uh, recognize that um, in the study of economics, we're basically dealing with how do I allocate finite resources? Okay. In most cases, um, oops, I just saw a typo. Shame on me. All right, I gotta get that fixed, which I did. All right. So, in microeconomics, uh, what we recognize right away is that I can't do everything with equal level of effort and resource. So, strategy is determining I'm going to do this, but there will be an opportunity cost associated with that because when I do this, I'm by definition excluding this other thing I could do. Um, and so hopefully that sort of grounds you in what we're trying to do. We're trying to capture data and analyze it using tools like um, correlation, regression, um, being able to look at R2 populations statistically significantly different from one another. And those pieces of evidence will support decisions that we will make. For better or worse, we don't have perfect knowledge, only God does, of what is going to happen in the future. But the hope is that using data and analyzing it um, with the tools that we have available will help us at least increase the odds of success. All right. We talked a bit about the textbooks, additional reading. Oops, look at that. It's amazing. I've looked at this so many times and I neglected to put marketing myopia. So I've got to fix that. Sorry, guys. It's called real-time correction. I'll make that update in Discovery as well. We talked about this is an asynchronous course, 6 to 8 p.m. Okay, in terms of evaluation, so there are 6 Microsoft Excel labs, 50 points each for 300, 3 topical papers, 100 points each for 308, cohort presentations, 50 points each for 400. And the math is a little weird here, but I was trying to make it where everything was even. So 8 optional virtual um, uh, office hour sessions. And so these are bonus. So what does that mean? So if you do all of these elements perfectly, then you can end up with a grade of 110%. So um, now you can do that and it's great. But the way I might sort of view it is, hey, I've got 100 um, bonus points that, my attendance in either uh, the live sessions here, or if you watch the recording, then I'll put you on the honor system. But if you email me and say, hey, Dr. Ross, I wasn't able to attend live, but I did watch it, and I'm testifying here through this email that I watched it, then you will get credit for that. So hopefully that makes sense. Here is a week-to-week course schedule. I'll make this a little bit bigger so you guys can see this. So every week there are some Microsoft Excel um, topics that we're going to look at. Um, I've included the slides for Evans, so you know that. Um, so there's the Excel component. There is the driving customer needs internally components. So there are these three sections of these three different books, as well as Levitt, which I haven't listed here, but his articles, the two articles, are in Discovery as well. Strategic Analytics, that's the best book. We're going to be covering 8 chapters. For each one of those chapters, you have not only the whole textbook, but the accompanying slides are available. And I recorded a lecture covering each of those slides. So hopefully, between the textbook and the slides, and then my lecture covering the slides, um, that will be helpful. Obviously, if you watch the lecture and you read the textbook and you read the slides and you're like, I'm still not getting this. That's okay. Feel free to reach out to me and we can jump on a phone call or a Zoom, or you can come visit me in my office if you're in the Wilmore area, and I'm happy to help you as best I can. Okay. Um, Here you can see, just in case, this is our uh, Zoom link. It's a little bit hard to see here, but if you're not looking at Discovery and somehow you misplace that Zoom link, then you have that there. I will use the same link every week, so um, now that you have this, you can use that same link, and that will be the one I will always use. So in terms of the assignments, what you can see is that there are 6 labs, Excel labs. There are 3 papers. There are 8 cohort presentations, and then there are 8 12.5 point virtual office hours sessions that you can attend for a total of 1,100 points. So let me go ahead and pause. Any questions about what we've talked about so far?
For the cohort presentations, are we doing like one each? So I saw that there's 6.
Uh,
Um, are we doing one per week or two
yeah, you'll
weeks?
do one per week. So you can see there are 8 weeks, and then these are the cohort presentations. So there's 8 of these here. Okay.
Hmm.
Um, there's only 6 labs, 3 papers, and 8 cohort presentations.
Okay.
Yeah. So, in your case, Garrett, let's see. So who is your cohort? Cade. So Cade is on the Zoom right now, I believe. So you guys will obviously, hopefully, the two of you can figure out, some times during the week when when you guys can connect. In terms of the cohort presentations, um, different students have used different methods. The way that I find works really well is to record sharing your screen with slides that you build and then record them, and then they end up being an MP4. If you want to like just go over the top, you can convert that MP4 into a YouTube Zoom link, or excuse me, a YouTube link, which has less density, and you can, move that file around easier. But the idea is that I think Brooklyn, I think you had this question. So, when you're making that video with the slides, you could do audio voiceover if you want. If you want to do picture in picture where you're sharing your face and talk into the slides. It's whatever works for you all. So does that make sense?
Yeah, if we do like a Zoom call or whatever and share our screen and have like those slides shared that way, do you still want us to include those slides on a separate, like, do you want us to submit that on Discovery as well? Or,
That would be great. I think
okay, cool.
because yeah, I mean just for whatever reason, it would just be good backup. Yeah, great question, Haven. Anybody
How
else?
long would the presentations need to be, or is there no time limit?
I mean, I think I stated somewhere in here, 1 minute. I think I'm like 10 to 15 minutes. Um, excuse me. Let's see. I don't really want to, I guess, without trying to search for that right now, Garrett, I would just say that, that you and your cohort mate, that you all would invest enough um, time and be able to sort of explicate everything in a way that you think is sufficient. I would say 10 to 15 minutes would be 10 minutes is probably max. Um, and I hesitate to put like a max on it, but I think the idea is to be able to if let's say you and your cohort mate are presenting to the CEO of a Fortune 500 company, okay, so that CEO, he or she has asked you to address this situation. So you don't want to read them, Moby Dick, 5,000 pages or whatever, but you don't want to say, hey, here's what we recommend, and we think you're going to like it. Boom, done. Well, that won't work. So you need to be able to assert what your recommendations are and then be able to support those arguments. So hopefully that, you could do that within, 10 minutes or so. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
Thank you.
great. Yes, sir. Let's see. So we talked about the readings, the grade um, percentages. That's pretty standard. I won't read through all of this artificial intelligence and academic integrity. However, um, we as a faculty have gone to great lengths to try to be very specific about what are the expectations, right? I mean, I'm no chat GPT expert. I think it's a great tool, um, but it never will replace original thought. And so, I would just encourage you at your convenience to sort of read through all of this. It just helps. I think, frankly, it sort of protects you guys and us as faculty because we want to make sure that everything that we do is done with honor and with integrity and that glorifies God. And so if you have a question about, hey, Dr. Ross, I'm thinking about this, I'm not quite sure, I would first encourage you to reference this section in the syllabus. And then if you look at this and you're like, wow, I'm still not clear, please reach out and we will figure out what the right approach is. So um, I would just, sort of the watchword is original thought, write your own. When you're writing, use your own words. Make sure that you cite within the text correctly and you include those references. That way, there is never a question as to did you sort of lift and shift this copy from a text into what you wrote? But it's very, very clear that you have appropriately cited, you've listed the references, and you've done um, a good job of paraphrasing. It's okay to look at what was a particular part of a text, but then you need to be able to restate that in a paraphrased manner, which are your own words, but um, is uh, is true to the meaning of what the original author meant in what they wrote. So I hope that is clear. Again, I won't read through all of this. You guys are welcome to look at this at your convenience. Oh, wow. Boy, it's funny. You look at something so much and still little things you miss there. Um, let's see. I think that's about it. That is a long syllabus. I recognize that. Um, but that's sort of common um, when we think about a graduate course. All right, so we looked at the overview, we looked at the syllabus. Um, if you ever wonder, hey, what's the course plan again? Of course, it's in the syllabus, but you can also look at it here in Discovery if you want to, another place to find that. Um, Here is the best book. Again, I don't know why the publisher made this available, but the whole thing is right here. So, and again, I am very biased toward the best book. I think it is, no pun intended, it's the best. It does an amazing job of integrating sort of the components of accounting and finance with marketing so that, again, we can do a good job of making um, good management decisions. Um, Here is a cohort presentation rubric. I won't read through all of this, but suffice it to say that this will be the rubric that I will use when I'm reviewing your written material as well as presentations. Um, so you can kind of read through this at your convenience, but it just gives you an idea of what I will be looking for when I'm grading. So, right. Let's see. Talk about the rubric. Um, I won't go through each one of these weeks, but just to kind of give you an idea, every week. So this is our first week. I give you a little bit of an intro of what we're going to be doing this week. There are the analytics slides. Here, there will be a lab with a due date. I have keys to each of the week's labs. I'm hiding them until after everyone has turned them in. The labs are due on the Friday night at 11:59 p.m. of that week. The cohort presentations are due the Sunday night at 11:59 p.m. of that week. And then the three topical papers are due that Sunday night at 11:59 p.m. of that week. So hopefully that is clear. Um, just to kind of, again, I won't go through all the weeks, but you can see here, this is the positioning book. I think you can download this. I know this is annoying. Nobody can really read this way. But you can download it and then pivot it 270 degrees so you can read it like you normally would. So we've got our positioning here for for week one. Um, we have our lecture. I won't obviously play all this, but you can see that I spend about an hour kind of
This slide.
walking through each one of the slides and trying to give you a little color commentary on the slides and hopefully make it uh, as relatable as possible. We have the slides. Here are the directions for the cohort presentation. So there we go, Garrett. 10 to 15 minutes. That's just sort of I think if you're over 15 minutes, and if you're recording that, you're like, whoa, okay, maybe we went a little too far. So if you went over 15 minutes, I would say, maybe we need to make it a little more concise. Okay. And then here are the cohort presentation assignments as well. If I go to week 2, only because week 2 is when our first paper is due. There we go. Topical paper, and that is due on the 25th, which, yeah, so that's a Sunday night. Okay. Just want to make sure I spoke the truth on that. Every week we'll sort of follow this flow. And again, I won't go through all 8 weeks. One thing I would point out, just so you know, just so you know, I've kind of you might be asking, well, how come we don't do any Excel work in weeks 7 and 8? Um, I'm trying to front load as much as I can in this course so that as you move forward in your topical papers and in your recorded presentations, cohort presentations, that there's sort of like this cumulative effect where every week or every paper and every recorded presentation is incorporating more and more of what we're learning. And therefore, my expectation will be that more and more of those insights are being incorporated as you go forward. So just know that as we get to the last 2 weeks, my expectation is the papers will become more robust and the presentations will become more robust. And that's why, these last two um, cohort presentations, those should be sort of the crescendo of what you all present. So, well, that is about all I wanted to share. Is anybody still awake? Everybody's on Haven's awake. All right. Everybody else is oh, there's Garrett, there's Emily. It's okay. Keep eating that pizza, man. I know you guys are hungry. So Brooklyn is traveling. Josiah, I got a big thumbs up from Josiah. Hey, Josiah, how's your dad doing? Is he hanging in there? Is he still teaching everybody really well across the street?
Yeah, I was eating as well during that, so I had my camera
Oh,
off. But
I knew it.
yeah, my dad's doing well though. He just heard me in your class and he was like yeah, I miss Dr. Ross. He's so nice.
He is your dad. I mean, you know, he's just amazing. And I really enjoy, I know he's your dad, so he's not really special, but he's a really cool guy. And I really enjoy talking to him, although it's been a while since I've hung out with him. So, but
Yeah, well, y'all have to reconnect soon. But I'm
that,
I'm glad to get this course going too.
yeah. Well, I'm super excited that you're in here. This is probably my favorite course to teach in the MBA program because of its data, numbers, and um, uh, hopefully, at least the way I think about it, will help increase your level of precision in the decisions you guys make. And I think depending on where you guys work after you graduate from our MBA program. I would, in my own little utopia, I would hope that every organization would make data-based decisions, but alas, it's not always the case. And so I'm hoping that I'm sort of arming you all metaphorically with the tools that you will need to be able to hopefully, in a Christ-like loving way, refute flowery rhetoric that may lead to nowhere. So that's my hope. Any questions you all have about anything? So I'm recording this. I probably well just what so you guys are obviously here, so it's sort of irrelevant, but for the future, um, if like I'm going to go ahead and close this out, but if let's say for whatever reason, let's say Cade, you get tied up in something and it's like 7:15 on a Tuesday night and you log into Zoom and it's like, oh crud, it's Dr. Ross isn't on. Text me and I'll be happy to jump on. Okay. So I'm just kind of want you guys to sort of bookmark between 6 and 8. I know you guys have got a lot going on. So if you log in and you're like, oh shoot, why are they not on? Well, you text me and I'll hop on. Okay. Does that make sense? All right. Blessings to you all. I'm so excited you guys are in this class, and I will see you soon. Bye.
Thank you.
Okay, bye.
I actually have a question
Oh,
about
yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
it's about the presentations. I'm pretty sure the URL was like rogerjbest.com, but when you
Yes.
go to that, it says there's no information available.
Yeah, so I think that's why the textbook is free. I
Okay.
mean, so he's retired, and I think it's out of print, and but the whole textbook is in Discovery, and all the slides are in Discovery as well.
Okay. Thank you.
Does
I
that
just
make
wanted to make
sense?
sure. Yes.
Yeah. Where's home for you, Brooklyn? I don't think I've had the pleasure of meeting you officially.
I'm actually from Mercer County, so not far away from Wilmore at all.
Oh, okay. For some reason, I was thinking you were like another part of the country, but
Oh, no.
okay.
I actually started my first class was in January. I graduated in December with my undergrad from Lindsey Wilson.
Nice. One of my best friends in the world, he played tennis for Lindsey Wilson. He grew up in Argentina and he came to the States many, many years ago. And he has some great things to say about Lindsey Wilson. So,
Yes, I played softball while I was there, so it's mostly student athletes.
okay. Well, then that makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Well, I am so glad you're on board, Brooklyn. It's an honor to be working with you and I look forward to it.
Thank you. It's very nice to meet you.
Yes, ma'am. Nice to meet you. I look forward to working with you.
All right. Have a good night.
You too. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.